It's time to check in with Approved Home Pros.
When you think of garage floor coatings, you are most likely thinking of epoxy. Paul Frankel from Perkins Custom Coatings is here to walk us through some of the shortcomings of epoxy and show us a better way. Thanks for being with me today.
Thanks for having me.
On your website, there's an entire section dedicated to the Epoxy Hall of Shame, typically related to the DIY kits that are out there for people who have done an epoxy floor themselves that didn't quite go right. What are we going to see there?
Well, there's some pretty gruesome pictures of epoxy floors that didn't turn out, I think, the way a homeowner would have expected them to. For years, epoxies were the primary product for garage floors. In fact, there really wasn't any other option. And then about 15 years ago, polyaspartics were introduced to this market, and they really are an outstanding choice for a garage floor product. They're much more durable than epoxy. They don't scratch and stain. They're generally going to last anywhere from 2 to 3 times longer than your typical epoxy floor.
Wow.
And price-wise, they're just a fraction more than your epoxy. So, for example, a typical 2-car garage might be, $200 or $300 difference in price between epoxy, a high-quality epoxy, and a polyaspartic material.
Which is not very much.
It's not very much. And people ask me, does the Spartaflex material look different than epoxy? And you really can't tell the difference if you were looking at your garage standing from the outside and you were looking at yours and you had a Spartaflex floor and your neighbor had an epoxy floor and they were the same color. You couldn't tell the difference. They're that close. So really the only time epoxy makes some sense is when you're trying to save a few $100s on an installation.
And when it comes to the polyaspartics, do we have the same amount of choices when it comes to color? And I mean, you said they're going to look the same. We have examples here, and it looks like we have plenty of choices.
Yeah, that's a great question. Every color that we offer, we can do an epoxy or a polyaspartic, and that's a great option for our homeowner.
Thanks so much. And when you go with Perkins Custom Coatings, you'll save 10% up to $500 when you mention Approved Home Pros. So don't let your floor end up in the Epoxy Hall of Shame. Call Perkins today to get a recommendation specific to your home needs. Find them on ApprovedHomePros.com/Perkins.